of take is Doctor Strange's scene in the time loop. In this scene, we see Doctor Strange construct a time loop to where he keeps the villain Demorium in until the villain Demorium agrees to cease and desist to that kind of matter, to prevent him from causing more havoc to the world. And you see in this particular scene, stop the villain from causing more harm and havoc to the world. So he's trying to protect the people he cares about and the world at large. And within this scene, I believe you can see his Doctor Strange is coping with the stress of being a superhero and trying to save everybody and having these new powers that are new to him. And in that, he constructed time loop to help prevent future damage from happening. And his way of coping with this was to build a time loop. And one of the psychological themes that I feel are at play in this scene is how he copes with stress. And that one is what's called the silver bullet. I believe you can see the psychological themes of stress and the certain kind of stress that he's under. He is presenting with the psychological themes of the silver bullet theory. And in a nutshell, the silver bullet theory is you are doing a more direct action-based thing to your situation to help prevent, stop, de-escalate whatever's happening, and it's a more proactive approach to stopping something. Whereas if he were to use more of like the shield approach, where he would just try to lock everything and stop, like trying to prevent harm from happening, or the other one, which is more common one, which is the more proactive one, where you see superheroes come in to save the day after all the bad stuff has already happened. And in this scene, bad stuff has happened, but more importantly, he is creating this time loop to stop those bad things from continuing to happening. And in this scene, he's holding the villain hostage to convince him to leave them alone. He's trying to wager peace with Dorium. And you see every time the time loop resets, he gets more and more irritated and more stressed. And his coping mechanism is trying to get him to agree. Basically, he's causing these loops to constantly reset until he gets his desired outcome. But he knows this by keeping the villain in this time loop. It's irritating to the villain, and that is one of his leverage to getting him to agree to let go of his control and stop trying to hurt the planet. And yeah, so now I'm going to play the scene to show you what I'm referring to, and then I will go in and tell you specifically where I think you can see the psychological stress that's coming from and in the scene, but also in particular why I think it is the silver bullet approach in what he's doing.
Dormammu, I've come to bargain.
You've come to die.
You see in that scene where he, we don't know he's in a time loop yet, and he's in this outer world area, and we see him coming to bargain, basically, for the freedom of Earth and the people that he loves. And he's doing all of this to help protect them. And so he's doing a proactive thing trying to stop him, but Geronimo does not know it's a time loop yet. So when it does not go very well in the next scene, it is because it resets, and that aggravates the villain, causing him to be more likely to concede and let Doctor Strange have this victory, as you see here.
Dormammu, I've come to bargain.
You can see here when it resets, he's more irritated a little bit. He's like, okay, well, that didn't work out the first time, so I'm going to try again until I succeed.
What is happening?
Endless, looped time.
No.
And then you see there, it irritates the villain so much that he's having to reset it again because he dies again. And you can see that anger building in both of the characters in the scene.
Dormammu, I've come to bargain. Dormammu, Dormammu, Dormammu.
Break this stun! Set me free!
Take your zealots from the Earth. End your assault on my world. Never come back.
And there you see him doing the final bargaining. He's made the villain Dormammu so irritated and so angry that he's able to once he stops the time loop, they will bargain for them to like release his, so that Dormammu takes his what he calls zealots off the earth and keep the world safe. And that is what he's ultimately trying to do in the situation. He is in fact, considered a superhero, and his ways are typically kind of not typical necessarily. His character can kind of be like arrogant and stuff like that, but that's kind of just like who Doctor Strange's character is per se. So he's just trying to bargain with all of that. One of the most important things about this scene in particular is how it shows the dedication and determination of the superhero to stop at nothing until they've saved the day. And that even means Doctor Strange to have to die all these times over and over again in these time loops until he gets his desired effect. And as you can see, that wears on him. That causes more stress for him to have to constantly reliving the dying of those scenes. And ultimately, he does succeed in this. He does get him to stop and stops him and all that stuff. But you can see his determination being a strong character trait in Doctor Strange, causing him to make him be a good superhero because he does care and he does shows up and like tries to save the day. A great example for why superheroes are considered strong-headed or strong-willed and stubborn, because they don't give up easily. They fight and fight until they win, and that's just the nature of the superhero's business. And so I think this is a great scene to illustrate the determination within a superhero, but specifically how he used this time loop as a way to conduct that, and not just like going up to fight many battles with him until he wins. No, he constructed an environment where he controls it, so he has the control over the villain, causing him to make a safer space for him to take him down, causing less harm to the world, to himself, and it's more controlled, and he's able to save the day because he has that control. Is how superheroes deal with stress. And as I mentioned previously in the video, that there are three. We're seeing Doctor Strange exhibit the silver bullet theory, where he is actively taking a stance, trying to stop something. He isn't trying just to fix it after the damage has been done. He's been trying to stop it. He goes head first, trying to fix everything and creates this scene. And I think that's a really good illustration of what makes a superhero, and how, based on the superhero's talents and abilities, they can really use those to send a message in the scene. And I think the scene is sending a message that superheroes can create this stage for them to play out on, and it keeps them safe, but it's this kind of this bubble effect because of that. So you might think it's not quite a shield, or so you say, but it is still going after the bad guy, stopping him, and getting the world to be safe again. So I think that's all I have for the critique right now. That's all I have for today. I hope that you enjoyed it, enjoyed the critique. I do think that there are more scenes in this movie, and especially Doctor Strange's movies, this one and the one that came out a couple years ago, really do show the strength that it takes to be a superhero and the toll that it takes on someone's character, their personal lives, and just how it's not all fun and games, and how you have to face the consequences of your actions. And he's a really great example of that.